We finished second this race, but I was expecting first position because I'm expecting other people to not have optimal strategy. But when I looked at the race replay, 2 of the 5 top managers started the race on dry tires like how we did, so we didn't have much advantage. It only rained in the final few laps. Other than that, it was mostly similar to a dry race, so our strategy didn't have much advantage. And like we said, 2 of 5 of the top managers started on hard tires like we did, so it was mostly dependent on the raw pace. So that's why we only got second position. A driver made a mistake again even after many training to increase his concentration. A concentration to aggressiveness ratio is very low, but he's still making mistakes. So I don't think you should have any aggressiveness until a driver has about 130 or 150 concentration. Otherwise he's just going to make mistakes. After 130, 150 concentration, then I think there's some ratios between aggressiveness and concentration involved before he'll make a mistake in the race. If you look at our pit stop time, it's 36 seconds, and if you look at someone else who also did 2 stops like we did, it's 26 seconds, and people doing multiple stops is about 20 seconds. If you look at our pit stop time in one of the previous races, we have a similar time compared to others doing a 2 stop. So I have no idea why we are suddenly 10 seconds slower than we should be, like 5 to 10 seconds in Shanghai race compared to previous races. So I don't know where that's coming. If our pit stop was better, then we would probably have won. This feels like scam because normally we're only 2 to 5 seconds slower in our pit stop, but suddenly this race we're like 5 to 10 seconds slower. 5 to 10 seconds slower compared to someone doing with a similar strategy and fuel load. I highlighted the top 5 drivers, and if you look at everyone's strategy, virtually everyone has pit in the last few laps, because there was 4 rain laps in the last few laps, so virtually everyone has pit in the last few laps to change tires. If you look at the strategy, we can set how many laps he should wait before pitting, and you can set if he ever changes tires, if it's rained or not. And the problem with that is if you set like 3 or 5 laps, then every lap you stay out you lose another 5 to 10 seconds because you're using the wrong tire, and then you lose any time you would gain from mitigating a pit stop. And normally if the weather changes, it lasts for like maybe 5 to 10 laps or more. There was a rain probability of around 50, and we know from the past results it should be on average 2/3 to half of the time it rains. But this time was like out of the blue. It's quite rare that there were not any rain laps in between, and it was only a few rain laps at the last. We had to set a driver to pit instantly, otherwise he'll lose a lot of time when the weather changes and he needs to pit for tires. So there's no way we can not make him do the extra pit stop at the end. Otherwise we lose too much time if it actually rains a bit and there's more rain laps from not pitting and using the wrong compound. If you look at the top 5 drivers which we highlighted before, you can see there's like 3 people who who started with dries and only first pitted in lap 15-17, and there was maybe 3 people who started with rain tires. If you look at the race replay, it's already lap 12, and if you look at the top 5 we highlighted, the only person who started with rain tires was Colin, and everyone else had started with dry tires like we did, so we didn't have much or any advantage in the race. That's why we were able to only finish second. So this is elite group, the race replay for it. Elite group is like the top group, and we also highlighted the top 5. If we look at the elite group, virtually everyone has stayed out and started with hard tires, because it's the most efficient way. And if we look at their strategy, the top 5, you can see like virtually all of them are doing like kind of like a one stop and using hard tires. They are pitting on like lap 30, lap 37. They are like using a same strategy and same tire choice as us. You can see we pitted on lap 30 and we're using hard tires and doing minimum amount of pit stops, and you can see people are elite are using the same strategy as we are doing, so there's nothing wrong with our strategy. It's very good this race. And if you look at the pit stop times, like virtually the entire grid has to pit in the last few laps because everyone has set to pit instantly, otherwise you lose a lot of time when weather changes and there's actually more rain laps. If you look at this race, Marina, you can see it's mostly acceleration and power based, so we're going to upgrade our car for these two. And then the telltale signs of how many pit stops you should do is the overtaking and the fuel consumption and tire wear. While previously we used if the overtaking is hard to judge that we should do more pit stops, so we can make overtaking easier and not lose that much time and get stuck behind others. The contrary is also true. If you're using hard tires and you don't do pit stops and your car is slower, you won't get held up as much, or because you're just so slow you won't catch up at all. So I don't think overtaking is all that good to see how many pit stops you should do. But I think mainly now is just looking at how much fuel consumption is the track, and if you have a lot of fuel and added weight, then you should try to do more pit stops. But you can see it's low fuel consumption, so we're doing one stop. Since there's not any more races left, we don't have to maximize our wear and minimize the cost by changing parts less often, and only changing once the wear is near 100. So we can just change the parts that have to be replaced, and then we're going to try and get more acceleration and engine power because the track is based upon that. We're going to use this calculator tool to see what upgrades will give us how many points, and we know our current engine level is 4 and our gearbox is 2. If we upgrade our gearbox, I just saw that increase our acceleration by 4 and power by 3. If we upgrade our engine, increase the acceleration by 3 and the power by 4. If you look at the upgrades, the engine is 7 million to upgrade and the gearbox is only 4 million. So it doesn't make sense to upgrade the engine because it's not cost effective. So we're going to do all of these upgrades, and we have to replace the front wing and the brakes because the wear is too high. We also chose to upgrade the suspension because if you look at the tire wear, it's quite high, and we want to have more margin by upgrading the suspension level and reducing the tire wear. And we left 1 million because there's some fees involved in qualifying and all of that. And you can see after the upgrade we have much more car points and our car is very good, and now the characteristic is balanced. Now if you look at the scoreboard, we have we are top 5 for our car levels. But funnily, if you look at the people with a faster car than us, they haven't scored much or any points recently, and they're not competitive, so I don't know what's going on there. And if you look at the scoreboard, these two people with slightly more points than me, they have negative balance, and they are spending a lot of money because they know they are not going to promote, and it doesn't matter if you finish with positive or negative balance in the bank. But they haven't beat me in the last few races, and we're consistently doing better. And if you look at the top few managers, the top 4 who are going to promote, there are virtually no reason for them to even spend any money to get even more points. If you look at their finances, they only have like 36 million, 24 and 16 million. That's not a lot for considering they already have most of the points and a huge gap, and they are guaranteed a promotion. What the top few managers who already guaranteed their promotion should be doing is they should be doing testing laps, so when next season comes they have a very fast car, and because the testing points are permanent and doesn't matter what car level, it doesn't matter what level your car parts are, you still have a lot of performance from the car character points, and it only reduces by like 1 point every 3 to 5 races, so it's the most efficient and most effective and the cheapest way to get a faster car. But the top few managers who are going to promote, they haven't done many testing laps, and their money saving is average or maybe average good. So if you're not doing any testing laps, I would expect to have even more cash in the bank to prepare for next season. Also, I nearly forgot that I need to train my driver because he's going off track and he's making mistakes during the race, so we have to keep doing yoga to increase his concentration. And if you look at the cost to do qualifying and the race, it costs about $600,000. And because we forgot we also need to train the driver, we might have negative balance. But it doesn't really matter because we are not promoting and there's only one race left. And the main impairment of having negative balance is the motivation of the driver and staff will decrease, and that affects your performance. And we can see the electronics and engine level affects how much fuel your car consumes, and the less fuel we have, the less weight, so it's very important to minimize the weight. We could have done better if we actually upgraded our electronics level more often, and then we would have saved fuel. But I always play the race from season 1 and at the start, so if you're starting from race 1, not like midway, then it normally only makes sense to minimize the car wear and only change when the wear is at 100%. That way you can do more testing laps and save money. And we entered all of the tire wear and fuel into our tool, and then we're going to do a one-stop hard. We're going to use one of the past race results to find our starting setup. Then we're going to do the practice laps, and we entered the results into our calculator tool, and then we're going to do a practice lap again to see what needs to be changed. We'll have to do another practice lap because we started off with more than one happy range off for wings. And then we are going to find the wing split. we can see there's not much time change between having no wing split and having wing split of any kind. Then we're going to enter the final setup, and then we're going to try with very little wing split to see what happens. We can see that with minus 20 wing split, our time was the best, and we lost time when we had 20 wing split, and we can see our results were different compared to without the optimum setup. So without the optimum setup, you can't actually find the correct wing split, so next time we have to actually use the correct setup before we look at the wing split. Otherwise, we're looking at the incorrect data. Also, with the incorrect setup, and we can see plus 50 and minus 50 wing split has the same lap time, so that suggests that it should be ideally a 0 wing split. But once you put the correct setup on, minus 20 and plus 20 wing split gave us a different time. So I'm going to go with a minus 25 wing split. And previously we had our best time with minus 20 wing split, so we're going to do minus 25. And we just done our qualifying, but I think our driver's qualifying time is quite good because he's less than half a second off the best possible time. So our qualifying Q1 is even better than Colin Motor, who was first place in the last few races. And our Q1 time is better than about 35%. I mean, it's better than 65%. So our Q1 time is better than 65% of all of the qualified managers in any rookie group. We also have to enter the car wear values for this race into our calculator tool. We just entered the results into Q2, and we also entered the temperature difference of 41 versus 45 degrees versus 35 degrees, 6 degrees into our calculator tool. And then we can see that our Q2 time is quite poor because we have a high fuel load. But overall qualifying time still looks okay, if not good, because we have a very fast Q1. Then we are going to enter the race setup, and we know the average race temperature is 32, and the start and Q1 reference temperature was 41, so the difference is 9 degrees. And we have just entered the race setup from our calculator tool. We have set the boost lap to be after 5 laps, and after 5 laps for a pit stop. We have also changed the race start risk from low to high. Because I saw quite a few people who weren't able to, they had an accident in the start. In the past few races we saw quite a few people had accidents in the start, so I'm just going to set high, not very high risk for a start. Last thing we would want is to have the high risk and then we have an accident in the start and we can't finish the race and there's no show to see at all. That would be very bad if that happens. So I think we are finished with setup for the race. And if you look at the team ranking, we were faster than the person who was in amateur, a rank above us, and we were like 1 minute faster. I think it's mostly because the strategy is poor, but maybe his performance and driver isn't that good. So, but there were maybe a few races where he was faster than us. But overall, they're doing very poorly in the performance. It's very shameful how we are using hard tires and we're doing the least amount of pit stops, and then we had a better best lap than a person in amateur, a rank above us. And the only time that the amateur person in our team beat us was last race, but only beat us by 37 seconds.